Our guest today is County Auditor David Thomas. Hello, David.
Hey, Bob. Thank you so much for having me on again today. I appreciate it.
This is the time of year when you're really popular.
Oh, everyone loves me. Between making folks feel guilty for not having a dog license to, property taxes and all that fun stuff, it's a great time.
Do you get people complaining about dogs? Do they tell you why don't people with cats have licenses and that kind of stuff?
Oh, absolutely. And this is government intrusion, and it's silly that they have got to pay a license fee for a dog, and they don't like the dog warden, or they don't like the shelters. Lots of different things. Which I sympathize with, but it's A, it's the law, and B, it's just a good practice to do. So
right.
Encourage it.
Right. So when last we met, we were talking about how if there's going to be a property reevaluation, and if you wanted to, instead of going through the formal process with the Board of Revision, you could call you up, maybe talk to you, get things straightened out ahead of time. How did that go? And I take it lots of people went before the Board of Revision as well?
Well, yep. So prior to January 1st, we had the informal time. And last time we talked, we had just kind of finished up the revaluation. And what we did, first time ever, we mailed out postcards to every residential property here in the county, and essentially told them that, hey, new values were up on our website, and we had a brand new portal where people could go look at them, ask questions, and that went really well. We've got about 80,000 parcels here in the county, and of those 80,000, about 500 people had filed some type of complaint or some type of question for their property values for that informal period.
Mm-hmm.
And we met with people, we called or emailed back and forth to explain some of the changes. We, corrected things that maybe folks had said, hey, I don't have air conditioning, or, I demolished that garage last year, something like that. And so we had that period, and then we formally kind of submitted, values to the state. The state made some tweaks, some changes up and down, depending on what they saw, and we have to adopt what the state says. And then we formalized them, they're official, and we applied the tax rates of what the voters had passed. There in Conneaut, for example, you all passed a new fire levy this past year, so that made some changes. Some levies were passed last year as well.
The Township Park.
Yep, Township Park, different things like that. And so we applied those tax rates, and then we released those tax amounts, formal values and tax amounts, about 2 weeks ago. So folks have been looking on our website to see how their values changed, how their taxes changed, and we've been discussing with them now, after January 1st, is the formal Board of Revision process.
So you're doing that now? Or are you setting them up?
Yeah. So we just we have, I think, one or two formal applicants right now, and that's a process that's open from January 1st until March 31st. And you essentially file a form with our office saying that the value is incorrect. And one of the big things we have to remind folks is that we can't adjust your tax amount. Your tax rate, your tax amount is determined by the voters with levies and your local governments and entities.
Mm-hmm.
What we can discuss, what we have control over, are your values. So, I've had many calls just this past week even with folks calling up saying, hey, my taxes went up a couple $100. I really don't think that's fair. And I'll share with them, I completely agree. But let me ask you, do you think your value is accurate? The value that we determined through the revaluation, is that what you think you would get on the open market for it in 2020? And typically, I'd say maybe 7 out of 10 folks will say, yeah, I think that's probably what I could sell it for. The real estate market's been really good. It's probably a good value. And unfortunately, I can tell them, well, there's not much we can do then. I can point you towards some credits, homestead owner occupancy, CAUV.
Well, I got that, the homestead.
Yep, yes, you do.
So, it's the first time I had a guest on the show that saved me money.
Hey, that's one of the first questions I always ask when folks say, because that's a credit that you deserve, you qualify for folks who are over 65 or who are, disabled. But
no, I'm talking. There's the one that if you own and live in the same house.
Yep, the owner occupancy. Yeah.
Right. That's what I got.
That's a nice credit. And then CAUV if you've got farmland
Right.
or over 10 acres of woodland. So that's kind of process right now. Folks are calling up. They're asking, why did my taxes change? And we can point them to different levies. I've got some information on our website that kind of walks you through. Been doing some different webinars for folks to be able to answer questions. But, with a reval year, with values and changes happening all across the county, Saybrook Township was the largest increase in terms of values. So their real estate market was the strongest. They had the most kind of change. Conneaut was very close behind them in terms of changes to the real estate market, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
That means that from our last revaluation back in 2014 to now, that your investment in your home, your property, has increased in value, which is a good sign. We're seeing, you talk to any realtor right now, and they'll tell you that they are in desperate need of supply in terms of properties, in terms of homes. The market, even throughout the pandemic, has been very strong.
So that bodes well for the county.
Oh, absolutely. I think, and it's unfortunate, the U.S. Census, just was completed, of course, in 2020. And if they had done the census from, say, 2015 to 2020 in terms of changes, instead from 2010 to 2020, I truly believe that we would probably see an increase in our population. Because more folks are moving here, and the pandemic, frankly, too, has shown why live in Cleveland or live in an expensive city when you can work from home in Ashtabula County. Our cost of living is half the national average.
Right.
Our taxes are very low in comparison to other areas. And you can have a wonderful quality of life while still having your, great job that you work from home with.
I'm like 4 or 5 metro parks are near me, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's, it's a process, and the question is that we always ask, do you think your value is accurate? And if it's not, then that border revision process is the exact perfect thing to do. That's where you come into our office, meet with myself, the county treasurer, and a county commissioner, and you essentially say that your value that our office determined is not correct, that there's different changes that we didn't know about, and we're happy to hear you out. And we make plenty of changes. Typically, about 75% of the property complaints we agree to.
Oh.
Or we make changes
Okay,
to.
excellent.
Because that's, for example, a good one could be someone bought a home recently, and they're flipping it, or they had to gut it. Well, with 80,000 parcels, we do drive-bys, we look for condition, but we can't know everything.
Right. I mean, the people, they drive by and they take a look at the house, and
Yep.
and they're not knocking on your door, they're not looking in your closets or peeking into windows or anything like that.
Yeah, and we do try, for example, there's a new garage that went up. We do stop by and we'll knock and just ask a few questions just to make sure that we have the right type of construction and, that there's the right information in terms of the inside of it. But that's really the key, is what data does our office have to make those value determinants. So, we're happy to have these conversations, but like I said, the tax rates, what we are able to kind of change in terms of your tax amount, we really can't do much because that's determined by the voters.
Right.
Last year, I don't know of a levy that actually failed.
That's true.
We've had record passages of levies, and so those are then crossed over into, folks paying on their tax bill. And a lot of people, myself included, pay through their mortgage, and so you may not actually see your changes or see what you're being taxed on. So I always encourage people to go to our website. You can actually take a look at your distribution, where all those funds are going. You can print off a tax bill off of our website, because otherwise you're just getting your escrow payments, and you're just seeing changes month to month, and you're not really knowing.
Right, and your bank or mortgage holder is doing that.
Yeah. Now, some people's taxes went down, some people's went up, and some people stayed the same. It's about a third for each. And that's all because, despite changes in valuation, when you pass that levy, the government still collects in the same amount of money every year. And so changes in valuation just change how the tax burden shifted around.
So do you expect to have a few? You say you got 2 people formally right now wanting to go before the board. Are you expecting a whole lot more before March 31st? Or especially now the day we're doing this, which is Tuesday, is when the tax bills are going out. So do you expect a flood of calls, say, by Thursday or Friday?
Yep. Yeah, I would definitely agree. Like I said, we sent out the postcards for value, and unfortunately, many people don't quite take an interest until they get their tax bill. Either they can see their change in value and think, oh, okay, my value went up $20,000. Okay, that's a good thing. And they get their tax bill, and the tax bill may have gone up $300, and that's when they can make a phone call, which is perfectly fine. Again, it's all about everyone's individual wallets and that type of thing. But apparently, in the last reval, which was before my time, we had maybe 800 or so complaints. So that's kind of a good barometer for us this year. But keeping in mind, our real estate market right now is much stronger than it was in previous years for previous revals. And I think the public knows that. They know that houses are going for more, and it's a good time to sell.
Now, these cards, they're going out a little late this year, right? I can remember getting them just after Christmas.
Oh, really? You got our postcard right after Christmas?
Right. It was like a Christmas card from Don Craig, and I don't know. It was maybe like December 31st, January 1st, or whatever. They're not going out. Are they on time or?
Oh, the tax bills.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, tax bills. So typically, like last year, for example, we were able to certify tax rates to the Treasurer's Office the week before Christmas.
Right.
This year with the reval and also the state delays and different issues, we certified tax rates the week of New Year's. So tax bills are about 2 weeks or so behind when they typically are, but actual tax payments are due on February 17th.
Okay, so there's not any change in when they're due.
Right. Yep. Still within that window for tax payments, and folks can definitely go on our website and download their tax bill too, if they want to see it before. But they should start hitting tomorrow, being Wednesday, the 20th.
Okay.
Of January. So by the time folks are listening, you should be able to have your tax bill there, and
read them and weep.
Look at. Yeah. Or like I said, some folks. Their taxes went down.
So a reevaluation doesn't mean an automatic tax increase.
Correct.
Yeah.
It actually, revaluations, really, it's to keep the information current on who pays what burden of taxes for, parks, as you said, for the city,
right,
for the schools.
We got about a minute and a half left, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the forfeit land sale. It's going to be at the Jefferson Community Center. February 3rd.
Land, Bob?
So there's some bargains out there?
Oh, there's some great bargains. There's a handful in Conneaut. So this is on February 3rd. Doors open at 9 a.m. These are all properties that are either vacant or there are a couple homes on them that are very dilapidated and not used. So essentially, they're back taxes. We sell them for $100.
Whoa.
Yes. So it's quite a deal. We have about 95 to 100 properties that are for sale. We've got the list, a map up on our website, and phone numbers for you to call if you've got questions. But it's a great way to get these properties back on the tax rolls, back in use, and really kind of being able to be enjoyed by people.
Are there any businesses that are, or is this just residential areas?
That's a good question. There are some. I can think there's one in Saybrook Township that's a commercial property. Right behind the old McDonald's by the State Highway Patrol.
Right.
One of those is for sale. So it's a variety. People buy them as is, so we can't guarantee if there's not trash on it or not trailer, for example.
Well, for $100.
Living the home. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes, the highest I've ever seen one of ours go for was about $11,000.
Mm-hmm.
But typically they go for under $1,000. You pay deposit that day. Pay it in full by the end of the day, and then in a couple weeks you get the deed and information mailed to you.
Okay, well, we are out of time, but it's February 3rd, and it's at the Jefferson Community Center right in downtown Jefferson. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Bob.
David Thomas, County Auditor. I'm Bob Lubzelder on Perspectives.